I love Halo 3. Welcome to Classic Game Reviews, where we go back in time and take a look at the games of the past, and today's game is Halo 3. Timestamps will be down below. We will be focusing on narrative and gameplay, and a bit of soundtrack in between. Let's both go back to 2007. The hype is huge and is breaking records left, right and centre. Bill Gates is there for the sale of the first copy of Halo 3. Everyone has come together to finish the fight. Was the fight truly finished, or will gamers constantly return to Halo to finish the fight over and over again? This is Halo 3, 13 years later. Halo 3 to many is crowned the best Halo game for narrative and gameplay. This was the conclusion to an epic trilogy full of betrayal, intrigue, testosterone and hope. Coming off the back of Halo 2 from a narrative standpoint, and somehow topping Halo 2 would have seemed impossible at the time. But the truth is, even if the narrative wouldn't have been as good as Halo 2, Halo 3 still had the benefit of being the story to conclude the overarching narrative, and boy did it capitalize on that fact. Halo 3 jumps straight into the action. Johnson finds Chief and boom, we're straight in. From here it's nothing but action-packed, blood-circulating testosterone with a sudden spike of sperm production in us gamers. Yeah, sperm production. The soundtrack starts shaking our eardrums. Chief's armor rings through our ears. It's time to finish the fight. We rampage through Covenant with smooth gameplay. The gunplay feels better than ever before. The AI is working by itself to create its own cinematic moments while you, the player, jump, shoot and crouch through the brilliant level design. The stakes are higher than ever before, so us and Chief need to be more focused than ever before. Throughout the first few levels there is this sense that this really was the end, that Bungie is wrapping the story up, and that makes Halo 3 even more special than what was originally hyped. Level design is so clearly above previous games, a mix of close quarters and long range battles combined with that sense of doom that accompanies the rest of the game. The Covenant seem more aggressive and desperate to win, attacking bases with a full frontal assault. You cannot let your guard down. The music is louder and more heightened, and it all just matches. If anything could have gone wrong with Halo 3, it would have been a lack of cohesion with tone and vibe. The game wouldn't work if the narrative was all over the place. Voice acting is stronger than ever before, and the gameplay feels more cinematic, but also more player controlled than ever before. I think it's easy to forget gaming wasn't all about sexy cutscenes, but about sexy, fluid gameplay, and Halo 3 delivers on both fronts. Everything just falls in sync, and I think that's because, well, there is no new story here. Halo 2 just expanded on everything that Combat Evolved did, expanding the lore and the characters, adding a new depth to them, and Halo 3 is really just the ending to that story. There is nothing wrong with that. Actually, in fact, I think sequels could learn a thing or two from that. It's also not easy to pull that off. I mean, look at Avengers Endgame. A lot of people prefer Infinity War over Endgame, and I think that's because Endgame tried to do too much while offering too little, and that's what Halo 3 does in spades. It concludes an epic story while adding more character moments, making the ending even more fulfilling. We'll get to Cortana in a minute. The rest of the story is going from set piece to set piece, killing any species that come in our way. Oh yeah, it's a good time to mention that the Flood are back. Yeah, the Flood are here to ruin your day too. This is another example of adding what has already been established for the sake of a conclusion, which is what Avengers Endgame didn't do. Time travel was never properly established in the MCU, making it feel unworthy in Endgame, which is the opposite with the Flood in Halo 3. Halo established the Flood and let you forget that they exist for the first half of the game, and then wham! Have fun. That's the way to do it, baby. Cortana is put in a reduced role while adding more than ever before. Her character has really been ruined by Halo 5, So playing Halo 3 again despite her lack of presence at times reminds us what Halo once was. And I could say that because I got into Halo last year. I'm not some major fanboy from 2007, I played all the Halos last year, so the fact a guy who got into Halo just after Halo Infinite's announcement can still end up agreeing with most people about Halo's story despite its age is a testament in itself. Halo's story will be remembered by all who play through it. Halo 3 is the conclusion to that story and will stand the test of time for decades to come.
It's been an honor serving with you, John.
If you got this far, maybe consider smashing that like button and maybe even subscribing. It would really help out the channel. The gameplay here is just awesome. Ambushed? It's all good. Whip out the pistol and battle rifle and blow the Covenant away. As I said before, the gunplay here feels great, and while it lacks the impact of games made today, Halo 3 still has some of the most fun gameplay I've ever experienced. It just works.
The game engine is, all of this just works.
Just like the narrative, the level design just flows extremely well. You go from mission to mission, set piece to set piece, destroying all that stand in your way. The battle rifle feels and sounds just as great as previous games. The pistol still feels great, but it still is not quite combat evolved levels of great. I love the pistol in that game, it's so overpowered. Movement feels great while not copying the shooters that arguably innovated with a sprint button, but as time has told, not every FPS game needs a sprint button. Set pieces are bigger than ever, sometimes rivaling the Battlefield games at that time with a mission where you board 2 ships and take them down from the inside. It's the original Battlefront 2, but better in my opinion, and it's fantastic. Shotguns will blow enemies away, snipers feel overpowered and destructive like they should, and the artificial intelligence has reached a new level thanks to the improved CPU of the Xbox 360. Oh my god. Jesus, these consoles are old, man. Oh yeah, to be clear, I did play on PC. I have an Xbox 360, but I don't own Halo 3 as I just bought it, and I've got like 30 other games now that I can review, so you know, it's one of them, hey. The Flood are back and are annoying as ever, offering another enemy type other than the Covenant, adding more gameplay variety and further deepening the epic conclusion of the story. Unfortunately, the driving is still ass. Level design is striking, each area has a completely new feel to it, and with the new AI systems it feels more lived in than ever before. You could stumble across random events, and while yes they are scripted, you could still change the outcome of those events by interacting with the game, which works so well for immersion rather than being forced to watch those moments happen through a cinematic, which is one thing I think the remaster of Halo Combat Evolved failed to capitalise on. Imagine playing as the soldier who was killed by the Flood on that tape. That would have been so cool and perfectly sums up why Halo 3 beats the previous games in terms of pure interactive fun. Halo 3 is a testament to its generation. Halo 3 came out just at the right time, offering a linear, while slightly open narrative driven first person shooter sci-fi experience like none other, and that's why I think it will be remembered for decades to come. I think the linear FPS genre has slowly died out. Call of Duty is played for its multiplayer, Battlefield is played for its multiplayer, whereas juggernauts like Crysis back in the day have died out. In fact, almost every FPS game that was linear has died out or evolved. Even Halo itself has ditched linearity in Halo Infinite, yet people still come back to the originals because the truth is, these past entries will never be topped, and will be etched into the hearts of gamers for decades to come. The soundtrack is probably the most iconic in gaming history, competing with the likes of Mario, Assassin's Creed, etc. Halo 3 truly set a industry standard I wasn't even aware of till last year, and that is why Halo 3 is a absolute classic. Thank you for watching, and I hope you stick around for more content.